Well, hi, folks. Excuse me. I've always had a stomach that has to process food that way. Um, anyway, thanks for joining me here on YouTube. Thank you for being a part of this audience if you are. The few of you, the few faithful, the few, the faithful. Anyway, no, I'm not going to go to a few proud, the Marines type thing. Anyway, um, we're going to be in Esther today on our devotion time, and we're getting toward the good part of the book. I'm going to be in chapter 7, where Haman, well, let's just say something really bad happens to Haman. Um, so in the last chapter, the king honored Mordecai, and Haman thought the king was going to honor him, and so this is going to be interesting. Now, to give a background on Esther. She was a contemporary actually to Elijah and Jeremiah, the prophets, and she went into captivity when I think when Judah went into captivity in 586 BC. At any rate, by God's providence, she became the queen of Persia. And she was a Jew raised by Mordecai. She was kind of like an orphan that Mordecai took under his wing and raised. And Naaman, being the second highest in the kingdom, he was very jealous of Mordecai. And maybe not jealous is not the right word. He was not happy with Mordecai because Mordecai would not bow to him when he rode by. And so Naaman came up with a conspiracy, right? Yeah, there's conspiracies in the Bible to take out all the Jews because Mordecai was a Jew. And of course, that would include Queen Esther. And Mordecai tells Queen Esther, you're going to have to tell the king about this plot to take all of us out. So she prepares this banquet, invites the king and Haman to the banquet. Now, Haman had set up some gallows that he wanted to hang Mordecai on. And so let's see what happens when they go to the banquet. So the king and Haman went to dine with Queen Esther. And on the second day at the banquet of wine, the king again said to Esther, what is your petition? What is your petition, Queen Esther? It shall be granted you. And what is your request? Up to half the kingdom, it shall be done. I'm telling you guys, he really liked her. I mean, if he was offering up to half the kingdom to her, God really gave him a heart toward Queen Esther, big time. Then Queen Esther answered and said, if I found favor in your sight, O king, and if it pleases the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request, for we have been sold, my people and I, to be destroyed, to be killed, and to be annihilated. Had we been sold as male and female slaves, I would have held my tongue, although the enemy could never compensate for the king's loss. So King Ahasuerus, get the name right. So King Ahasuerus answered and said to Queen Esther, who is he and where is he? Who would dare presume in his heart to do such a thing? You can imagine the um, the shock and the anger of the king at that point in time, realizing that his beloved queen was targeted and her people were targeted. Um, and Esther said, The adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman. So Haman was terrified before the king and queen. Then the king arose in his wrath from the banquet of wine, and went into the palace garden. He went out to stew a little bit and think about this. But Haman stood before Queen Esther, pleading for his life, for he saw that evil was determined against him by the king. When the king returned from the palace garden to the place of the banquet of wine, Haman had fallen across the couch where Esther was. Can you picture this in your mind, this scene? Then the king said, will he also assault the queen while I'm in the house? As the word left the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. I guess I'm picturing they kind of put a hood over his face, probably. Now, Harbonah, one of the eunuchs, said to the king, look, the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman made for Mordecai, who spoke good on the king's behalf, is standing at the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him on it. What are you doing interrupting me, phone? I'm going to have to put you on silent. There's your punishment. Okay, here we go. Then the king said, hang him on it. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then the king's wrath subsided. And I refer to this passage a lot when I refer to people who try to plot things in conspiracy against other people, and their intent is evil toward these other people. And I'm always thinking about Haman and Mordecai and how Haman plotted against Mordecai to hang him on the gallows, but ended up hanging on the gallows himself, that he intended for Mordecai. And sometimes when people intend evil, God will reverse it on them. God will just flip the tables on them, and they end up being the ones that catch that wrath rather than the other person. So, I sometimes I look at things in politics and I'm thinking, okay, this is a Haman and Mordecai situation. I look at people who plot against others, and I'm thinking, okay, in this case, it seems like a Haman and Mordecai type of situation. So, all right. So when we come back to Esther, there's going to be something that is eschatologically, in other words, end times, the study of the end times, so study of of the return of Christ and all that, study of the apocalypse, if you will. There's something eschatologically that's going to be very prominent in chapter 8. But that's going to be after Thanksgiving, which is tomorrow. So we'll come back to that on Friday. All right, let's go to the next reading. Oh, what I just, okay. I need my marker. There it is. We're going to be in Psalm 122. Now, Psalm 122, of course, it's a song, it's song lyrics, so it's poetry, it's Hebrew poetry put to music. And this is the joy of going to the house of the Lord. And it's a song of ascents of David. David wrote this one, King David. I was glad when they said to me, let us go into the house of the Lord. Our feet have been standing within your gates, O Jerusalem. Jerusalem is built as a city that is compact together, where the tribes go up, the tribes of the Lord, to the testimony of Israel, to give thanks to the name of the Lord. For thrones are set there for judgment, the thrones of the house of David. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May they prosper who love you. Peace be within your walls, prosperity within your palaces. For the sake of my brethren and companions, I will now say, Peace be with you. Because of the house of the Lord our God, I will seek your good. Now, of course, the house of the Lord was the tabernacle, because David wasn't allowed to build the temple, but Solomon, his son, was allowed to build it because God said David is a bloody man because he was a warrior. He wanted Solomon instead to build it um, because that would be a time of peace in Israel, and that would be the time to build the temple because the temple really represents a time of peace when it comes to the new covenant spiritual temple. It's a place of peace and a place of redemption. So, all right. Okay. Now we'll go to Proverbs. And it will be that fell down on the floor and I'm gonna have to grab it with my foot. All right, here we go. 25, 26. Excuse me, guys. I disappeared out into space for a moment there. All right, Proverbs 26. We're only into 12 minutes. Here we go. All right, get my throat working. If you guys like reading along with me, I'm in the New King James Version. Each version is a little bit different in how they structure the words, but the meaning comes out the same. And snow in summer and rain in harvest, so honor is not fitting for a fool. Like a like a flighting? Yeah, flighting. Like a flighting sparrow, like a flying swallow. So a curse without cause shall not alight. A whip for the horse, a bridle for the donkey, and a rod for the fool's back. Do not answer a fool according to his folly, lest you also be like him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. I need to explain that one for a moment. If answering a fool according to his folly lowers you into being the way he is. In other words, if this is a very person that's very, very nasty toward people, he loves to demean other people. He loves to flaunt his self-perceived superiority over others, that type of thing. And if mocking him back is going to make you like that, then don't do that. But in the next verse, answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. If mocking him back wisely helps him to see his own folly, then yes, that's how you want to do it. In other words, your mocking should be in response to his mocking, but in response, not in a way of you're trying to match him superiority for superiority or nastiness for nastiness, if you will, but in a way that you're saying, okay, this, what you're doing and what you're saying doesn't make sense. And I'm going to make a mocking statement to help you understand that type of thing. Um, and it's presuppositionalism, really. Which is You get down to the heart of the matter. Get down to the heart of the matter. For example, one apologist I know, or I don't know him personally, but I've watched him over time. One of the things he would do is he would point out, and using mockery to someone who's like an atheist, that that their worldview does not allow for truth, and their worldview cannot determine truth. Because in the worldview of an atheist, truth doesn't exist. Not ultimate truth, not universal truth. You have your truth, I have my truth type of thing. So he uses a question to kind of mock, to get them to think. And the question is that true? Is that true? Is that true? Constantly pointing them toward um, universal truth, right? That there are some things are true universally. Some things are true in all times, all situations, always. There are just some things. There is truth that transcends all things and is always true. And but in their worldview, they can't come to that point. So he's always using that question to kind of mess with them a little bit. And it's fun to watch when he does that because they go bonkers over that. They just don't like it at all. But it's designed not to mock them, not to mock them in a demeaning way, but to mock them in a way that, come on, think beyond where you are. Go beyond your worldview and think beyond it. That type of thing. All right. He who sends a message by the hand of a fool cuts off his own feet and drinks violence. Let the legs of the lame that hang limp, I'm sorry, like the legs of the lame that hang limp. I'm having trouble today. Let's try this again. He who sends a message by the hand of a fool cuts off his feet and drinks violence, like the legs of the lame that hang limp, is a proverb in the mouth of fools. Like one who binds a stone in a sling is he who gives honor to a fool. Like a thorn that goes into the hand of a drunkard is a proverb in the mouth of fools. The great God who formed everything gives the fool his hire and the transgressor his wages. As a dog returns to his own vomit, so a fool repeats his folly. Do you see a man wise in his own eyes? There is more hope for a fool than for him. So, as many things as just said about fools, it says someone who's wise in their own eyes is even worse than a fool. The lazy man says, there is a lion in the road. A fierce lion is in the streets. I can't go out there and work because the lion might get me. I mean, you say that's so ridiculous. And that's the whole point of the proverb, is that the excuses that lazy people make to not do something sometimes are just so ridiculous that you might as well just say there's a lion out there and he's going to get me. And you don't even live in Africa where the lions are, right? And if there's a lion here, it's in the zoo. Anyway, moving on. As a door turns on its hinges, so does the lazy man on his bed. At least he got enough energy to turn over in the bed. The lazy man buries his hand in the bowl and wearies him to bring it back to his mouth. They would eat with their hands. If you go to certain cultures like the Philippines, they still eat with their hands. They'll use a spoon to eat sometimes, but you'll see them with the rice doing this. And so the picture of this proverb is He's too lazy to bring the rice back out of the bowl to even eat it. I mean, that is the epitome of laziness, okay? Just the epitome of laziness. This is really going to the extreme to demonstrate how foolish laziness is. All right. The lazy man is wiser in his own eyes than seven men who can answer sensibly. Oh my goodness, that one just blows the garbage out of the internet. Oh my goodness. There's a lot of people like that on the internet that have a lazy intellect and they don't think things through and they repeat things without vetting and they repeat things without researching and they repeat things without really paying much attention to it. And this is how I hate to use the term misinformation because it's been so abused. And, things that are true have been called misinformation. So I hate that term. But you get the point. They put out false information thinking it's true, not, So I mean, that's an example of this, you know. The lazy man is wiser in his own eyes than seven men who can answer sensibly. Really good. He who passes by and meddles in a quarrel, not his own, is like one who takes a dog by the ears. You ever take a dog by the ears? Whoa, they want to bite you. Ah, don't mess with my ears because the ears of a dog are very sensitive. And so, jumping in the middle of somebody else's quarrel sometimes can be even though sometimes I want to do that. This proverb is a good one for me to be reminded not to do that. Like a madman, like a madman who throws firebrands, arrows, and death is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, I was only joking. How many times have we heard that one? I was just joking. Where there is no wood, the fire goes out. Yeah. And where there is no talebearer, strife ceases. As charcoal is to burning coals and wood to fire, so is a contentious man to kindle strife. So there's the contentious woman, and there's also the contentious man. And the contentious man causes strife. You looking at me? You looking at me? You want a piece of this? That's the contentious man right there. Um, the words of a talebearer are like tasty trifles. I guess trifles were tasty back then. I don't know what they are. And they go down into the inmost body. Fervent, it means people love to hear gossip. People love to hear things about other people. Fervent lips with a wicked heart is like earthenware covered with silver dross. He who hates disguises it with his lips and lays up deceit within himself. When he speaks kindly, do not believe him, for there are seven abominations in his heart. Yeah, there's a lot of that today too. A lot of dissension, strife, and hate going on in our society today. This proverb really speaks to it quite well. Proverbs 26, verses 24 and 25, if you want to look it up. Uh, yeah, it really speaks to a lot of the nonsensical strife in our society where it really is just pride raising its ugly head. And people are so prideful that they just can't stand to let something go, and to have a little grace toward others. They did no, that's not going to happen. I'll read it again. He who hates disguises with this. He who hates disguises it with his lips. In other words, he'll try to be really smooth and pretend like he doesn't hate the other person or that group or that worldview or whatever it might be. And lays up deceit within himself. So he actually starts to convince himself, I'm not that bad. I'm I'm justified in this hate. I am righteous in this hate, you know. When he speaks kindly, do not believe him. See where it's going? Yeah. Hey, buddy, how you doing? I can't stand your guts, but I'm gonna say, hey, buddy, how you doing? Right? For there are seven abominations in his heart. Wow. Though his hatred is covered by deceit, his wickedness will be revealed before the assembly. Yeah, when he's caught, after he does whatever he does. Whoever digs a pit will fall into it. There's your there's your Haman Mordecai right there. Whoever digs a pit will fall into it. Um, and he who rolls a stone will have it roll back on him. What it's saying is when you intend evil towards someone else, it can come back on you as well. A lying tongue hates those who are crushed by it, and a flattering mouth works ruin. And that is so true. Well, that's it for Proverbs 26. And I will get to the next one in the next video. Everybody have a wonderful day. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving after the recording of this, and so everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'll see you next time.